Hello, I want to make a video about a conversation between Jiddu Krishnamurti and a couple of other people, including a Buddhist monk. And I will get the video, it's in my favorite list, and I will put the link under this video for people to see. I want everybody to watch this conversation. It's about an hour and a half long, and it raises real good food for thought, ideas and concepts and thought constructs that I encourage everybody to participate in, to ponder about, and to dig in really for themselves and for their own lives, because everybody is going to get something out of this. And it is always very interesting for me to see people's reactions to certain videos and people's comments and what everybody has to say. And so there's a bunch of comments under that video and comment exchanges. Also 2 years ago I was under that video with my other channel, and that guy thought I was a guy, and because my channel name was Kenny Redwood Forest, and so this guy kept arguing with me about the word acceptance. So, and he said that the word acceptance would imply to him, or to, I mean, according to his understanding, that we would not be free from self and identification. So, and I think this raises an important thought. I think most people probably don't ponder about this particular thing, but when you get more into this material, you will understand why these questions are raised and why people are starting to think about particular terminology. And then we get into the subject choosing words more wisely. Most people don't, and I find it extremely important, as that guy also said it himself under the video, how important it is which words we choose according to our understanding, of course. And the way I see choosing words, I choose words according to ethics and ethical education. So if a word is used that comes from a dark age, like for example when people say man instead of humans, men developed over time, you know, it's like, but not women, so, and not children. So that I correct, and I say humans developed over time. So we have to exchange words that are coming from a very sexist, speciesist and fascist era, and we have to replace them with more progressive terminology. But what he was talking about is like replacing dualistic terminology with more matrix-oriented terminology, where in matrix, where everything is connected, interconnected. I agree, but I don't necessarily agree with his point of view on that particular criterion that he chose, which was the word acceptance. So just because we accept something doesn't mean we are still in the dualistic worldview of me versus you. I have to explain to people what is a dualistic worldview. A lot of people that will see this video, they will probably turn it off, because then they don't really know what to do with this word with this concept, dualistic worldview. What is that? Dualistic worldview is when we think we're separated from our surroundings, when we're separated from the trees, when we're separated from the farm animals, etc. So we are not. We're one big soup, one big matrix that is interconnected with one another. And that also explains why some people are telepathic. In Tibet in particular, they have evolved to be telepathic because of these wide and large mountain ranges that separated people during the hunter and gatherer time, and they had to communicate in some way through long distances and through thick mountains, and they were able to develop this ability. They're very fine-tuned into listening to nature and to that matrix. The civilizations, the Western civilizations, have detached themselves further and further from this ability, while the Tibetans have practiced and evolved into, also through evolution, become more and more in tune with it, and their children have become more in tune. Epigenetics plays a role in this as well, but they also have evolved that way in their DNA itself. And then there's a whole interaction between epigenetics and DNA development as well. So this is a whole new subject altogether. But yes, so a dualistic worldview is the Western worldview. The typical Republican worldview is us versus them, which is the foundation for creating war, a war mindset. The Matrix worldview is the opposite of that, which is where the Buddhists are coming from with their philosophy. This is what the Buddha taught originally, that we need to become aware that we are all in one conglomeration and we are not separated from each other. So this is very important to point out for anyone who does not know what dualism means versus a matrix worldview. So Jiddu Krishnamurti, of course, teaches the matrix worldview, and he's talking also with a couple of other people, including a Buddhist monk who is also coming from the matrix worldview. But within this understanding itself, there are misunderstandings happening within this school itself. So every kind of thought school includes people, and people often have different ideas or understandings, or they just understand things differently, which is also dangerous, because when a philosopher dies, then his philosophy might be misconstructed later on by other people, followers who just have not understood his teachings correctly. This is what happened to Friedrich Nietzsche massively, because of his sister and because of completely different understandings of world and different psychological mindsets, and different psychological abilities. What he was teaching was misconstructed, and Friedrich Nietzsche also was getting very deeply into the matrix worldview, questioning himself and showing an entire metamorphosis of thought processes that he was living out for the world in order to show how somebody can evolve in their way of thinking. The Buddha already came into the world with the complete matrix worldview and mindset and everything, and he just explored asceticism, and for the asceticism he realized that we don't need to be ascetists, and we don't need to deprive ourselves in order to gain certain understandings. We don't need to starve ourselves almost to death in order to gain understanding of wisdom and of how the world is interconnected and what we each have to do to make the world a better place. So he taught altruism. A lot of people just cannot dig their head around this particular term, altruism. And that's why I make videos, because I want people to get into it. You know, baby steps, you know, little by little. What is altruism? Altruism is true love. Okay. And what's the meaning of life? The meaning of life is true love and joy. Yeah. True joy is true love. True love is altruism. There we have it, okay? And anyone who is giving someone else a hard time is obviously not enjoying himself or herself. They think they are in that moment. They think they're doing retribution, or they think they got one up, or they think they got the upper hand somehow. You know, it's an illusion. It's not a true feeling of accomplishment. Of course, it's later on they feel even worse about themselves. I talked about this many times. The meaning of life is to really feel accomplished, which means we have done something good for someone else, which in turn gives us a reward. But here's the catch. In order to really be in the middle of the vortex, as the Hicks calls it, or the zone, or the infinity, if we really want to be in the flow of it, we have to give without wanting something in return, without wanting the reward for it. The reward is the feeling itself already. The reward is the feeling of, I want to give. I want to give this feeling. You know. This feeling is true love. In that moment, I saw a lot of gurus trying to teach this. But the problem is, when a guru is not even capable of practicing that himself, how is he even capable of, in any form, transmitting this to the outside world and making that understood by other people? It's impossible. So, but this is the philosophy of altruism, which is my life, you know, which I try to make understood to other people as much as I possibly can. I don't know if it's very difficult. Okay? I'm an animal. I'm a flesh. I have neurons. I have a brain. I have psychology, and it is not easy for me at all. Okay? Not easy at all. I talk to other people. I feel not understood. I feel misunderstood. I get a lot of hatred. I don't know how to cope with the hatred. I get very depressed. I want to hate back. Then I realize this is not the answer. Then I cry. It is like constantly loops itself that way, constantly looping. It's a becoming process. Everything is a becoming process. You know, you are, I am, whole world is. So there is no such thing as a guru who's already is on top of things. You're never on top of things. Okay? But you can be in the flow of gripping it, of touching it, of exploring it, and then you can share that with other people, which is very vital to do. Everybody should do it. There is no such thing as a guru. It doesn't exist. Everybody is just in the process of learning themselves as they go, and as they try to communicate to other people as they go. But you can't communicate when you're stuck, in the moment of stuckness. You can't. So you can only communicate in the moment of going into the flow of learning itself. So, and that's why they say the path is the goal, the trail itself. So the goal is to get on the right path. That's the first thing. The pathless path, of course. It's not the treaded path that other people have already trampled down for you and pre-digested for you, so you don't have to do any holistic growing work yourself. And I am certainly not doing this. I just want people to come on that path with me, and we find out together, okay? And I can't tell someone else how they perceive the world. I can only say it from my own perception, of course. We all have different brains. But it is important that we explore these subjects, and it is the videos by Jiddu Krishnamurti are vital for humanity, for the healing of humanity. It's very, very important. Humanity needs to be healed, because I see that most people are detached. I don't know what it is. Is it called by different brain formation? Is the compassion center not developed enough, and instead of maybe one day we can put microchips in people, but then it's something that is put in from outside without any legwork themselves. So that's not really. Don't we want to enjoy, as Esther Hicks always said, don't we want to enjoy the ride, the becoming process, the ride from A to B? Then how do we feel accomplished if we have just been microchipped, and now we have a compassion center, and now we can do the right thing? Don't we want to learn how to get there ourselves? Don't we want to develop and build that compassion center up ourselves? And I have this inkling that there is a possibility to do it. I already heard that through Vipassana meditation, people are little by little gaining this compassion center and developing it, and it's a formation in the brain. The compassion center can be strengthened and built up, and we have to do the right practice to do this. And that's why these videos are important by Jiddu Krishnamurti, and I'm very grateful to this Jiddu Krishnamurti archive and the people who are taking good care of the center in Ojai where he used to live. It is a museum now, people can go there. It's a place where they can watch his presentations and see photos and read his books and so on. And I know a person who has attended those seminars back in the 70s or 60s in Ojai, when he was giving the lectures outside in the outdoors with the birds chirping around him. It's amazing. So it is but the way he worded himself, he kept everything he kept it in an abstract form. He did not put it too much into examples. And people, in order to understand something, they need examples. They need somebody to put it into examples of here and now, not of an example from 1880 from Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche, he was giving a little bit more examples of things, but kept it pretty much in his ivory tower scholar society. He did not venture out too much in order to, he didn't teach the people, the other people, the worker people, with their terminology, because he was so cut off from that, he didn't know their terminology. But I have been in both societies. I do not close my door to those who are not educated. I would never do that, and I have never done this in my life. I always had a boyfriend from a blue-collar society. It was almost, I was drawn to this. There was some kind of inner drive that made me do it, usually subconsciously, but I know today it was because I needed to get this, to learn more about them in the most intimate forms there is, in order to understand them, in order to understand their terminology, the word choosing, the non-choosing of words that is practiced in that society. They take everything for granted. They take whatever they hear on TV, and they will model themselves after whoever they think is strong, and they will just accept or just adopt that type of wording without questioning it. And it was important for me to learn. That's why these people are in positions of cleaning someone else's house, because they don't question. And that's why, and I this always gets misunderstood, of course, when I talk about this, because then people will take terrible offense. So I'm telling the people who take offense, instead of taking offense, listen to what I'm saying, because if you did, you could work your way out of that predicament that you have built for yourself, or that your surroundings has coached you into it, but you didn't question it. That's why I'm saying, and it doesn't matter who we are, it doesn't matter in which society we are living our lives, we have to all question things. Everything needs to be questioned. It's very, very important. We need to never take someone's word for anything. We need to learn, and we need to say, okay, what does she or he have to say about this? I will thank that person for telling me about, even if it hurts, and now I'm gonna be honest with myself, and I'm gonna dive right into it and explore that for myself. And then I can, later on, then I can really make a judgment about it. Then I can really say, well, this person obviously has a different view, or has a different situation, or didn't understand this or that situation that gives a completely different outcome, or whatever, you know. So, but it's exploring. What I'm trying to tell people is explore for yourselves, so that you don't have to take someone else's word for it anymore, so that you can really find out for yourself. That's very, very, very critical. And I do not believe that what this guy said under the video, that acceptance, the word acceptance, when I say I accept something, I do not believe that that implies that I am still in a dualistic worldview. Some people will use the word accept everything in order to cop out of responsibility. Other people will do the opposite to cop out of responsibility. So different people use different type of mindsets in order to justify themselves to opt out of responsibility. With other words, opt out of altruism. So with other words, justify a selfish, self-aggrandizing, self-pleasing lifestyle. Making money on cost of someone else will be justified. It's always a justification. Everything I see on the internet it's all over the place. These justifications, they are some of the justifications are simple-minded, some medium, and some are so intricate and so hidden that some people, they just be in awe with some guru type who justifies shedding responsibility in such an intricate way that people don't even consciously know what he's really doing there. So we need to discern more. We need to find out. So no, acceptance, the word acceptance is just what it is, acceptance. I am accepting this computer here, okay? I accept myself, I accept my artwork. That doesn't mean I'm still in a dualistic mindset. And I haven't seen a person who is completely free from the dualistic mindset. I have not seen it. I don't think this is actually possible. Or maybe there are some people. I'm sure the Buddha was free from the dualistic mindset. He did not have ego clinging in any way, because he was really there to explore in order to teach, and he was willing to give his body for it. Paul Watson, for example, he lays his body over a fur seal in Newfoundland, and he does that to protect the fur seal from being clubbed and picked with its ice pick by butchers. So in the process, he almost bled to death because they just chopped on him and then on that baby, and people had to come and rescue him. I think many times he almost died. He was beaten up, he was clubbed, he was chopped, and so on. But he didn't care. What was important for him is that message to the world of altruism. Here I am doing it. Let's get this. That doesn't mean everybody has to do it, but let's get this message across. The message that we need to live more, at least more, our lives in that direction. Okay, all of these very consequent people like Mahatma Gandhi or the Buddha, all of these consequent people were there to teach us. They didn't mean that we have to also do what they did. We don't have to starve ourselves or all of this, but we need to live more towards that what they were teaching. So people need to understand this. A lot of people, they don't even understand that Paul Watson, for example, is way more advanced than Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, he's not a bad guy, but he wasn't that advanced. He was still in a very, very dualistic mindset, in a very warlike mindset, very, very egoic, and meant well, wanted to do something, wanted to do good, but was not always able to walk his talk. So he had to come back many times and made many times the same mistakes again in different forms in order to learn. This was again a warlike mindset. I fell into the same trap again, this time in my head, this time in my body, this time as a woman, this time as a guy. People don't understand that this is a learning process. We're all in a learning process. Yeah. And there are some people that are wrongfully celebrated, and there are some people that are wrongfully hated, like Paul Watson. Paul Watson should be celebrated, and the wrongfully celebrated people should be seen as that what they are. They're just students. Okay, Paul Watson is one of these extremely advanced souls. Okay? When people don't understand it, they don't see it, because they're blinded by their peer groups, instead of, and that's why I'm saying we need to step out of that, out of the peer pressure groups that are surrounding us, and we need to look at the things from above. We need to really question things. We need to question ourselves. We need to raise the question, what is the meaning of life? That's why philosophers did it. They didn't do it because they had too much time on their hands. Some of them didn't even have anything. They just lived by handouts on the streets in Greece. But they did it because those were all teachers. They did it to teach, and they did it also to explore, because that was why they were there, to explore intellectually. They wanted to explore that material. That's what their lives were all about. They weren't arrogant, they weren't lazy, they weren't beggars, they were just there only for that purpose, to explore these questions. Okay? And we should all go more into that direction and make our lives better, so that we can have better choices later on, so that the blue-collar worker doesn't have to be stuck in his anger and resentment towards those he's working for, So get rid of that job. Do something with your lives, What Eric is doing, Nomadic Fanatic, is he did just that. He quit his job, and he explained why, every morning be woken up by an alarm clock that is aggressive. There's even a woman who had a heart attack. She died from that alarm sound. I read that on the internet. That's another person who is there to teach us in a drastic way. Do we need to? Not everybody has a sensitive system where they die from the alarm clock. Some people are that sensitive. But what it tells us basically is that being woken up by an alarm clock is completely unnatural, and it is wrong to our own systems. Okay, and it is wrong to go to a work that we don't enjoy. I talked about this before, the UPS guys, one UPS guy snapped and shot a bunch of people at the UPS headquarters whatever it is, storage place where they have all the packages. One guy chopped people's heads off, and also I think was also in one of those delivery system places. And it's just so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary to that's like self-abuse, to work in a job that is abusive. It's like, oh, now I'm gonna work for this now for the next 80 years. That's a pretty darn dark prospect onto your own lives. You should see your life as incremental learning stages, and not have a mindset of now I reached my plateau, I'm now working for Ritz-Carlton as a toilet cleaner or something. I kind of like, okay, now this is where I can rest now for the next 80 years. This is going to be my job. It's not resting, it's not a job, and it's not the meaning of life. Okay? It is only a means to an end. It's a transition phase. Okay, it is for some people, they have to do it for a year or two as as a transitional phase, as a stepping stone to get from A to B and then get from B to C and so on, but not stay stuck in this UPS job or Federal Express or Postal Service or whatever, and particularly not when they hate it. It's self-abuse, and that's why I'm saying we need to or people who hate themselves and then they deny it, and then they see someone else who has more success and then they hate that person because that other person had the courage to leap out. Why hate that person if you can leap out of your predicament that you set for yourself as well? You can leap out, you quit that job, get yourself a motorhome. Yeah, it's not easy, but it's a learning process that gets you on the path of learning, the path towards light. Not stay stuck on this fearful mindset, peer pressured, hollered at by a boss, woken up by an alarm clock, and so on, and stay stuck in a specific society that has specific things, that listens to specific music, that doesn't even allow you to have good grammar, and so on. It's just, why be stuck in this if you can get out? Then you don't need to have the feeling anymore that Eric and I are walking on you like a rug. Somebody said that to me. I was just baffled by that statement. I don't even know that person. How can I walk on somebody like a rug if I don't even know that person? So, yeah. And all of those are very drastic statements that are extremely that are paranoid, almost schizophrenic, I would say. Those are that's the basic mindset to move the brain into schizophrenia, into psychosis, where people feel like they are being that's also the basis for this mass psychosis of conspiracy theory thinking. It's like that they're after you, that they're gonna get you. It really gets people more and more into this. Come out of this, okay? Come out of it. Don't listen to that stuff anymore. Come out of it and see things for what they are, okay? See that the job sucks and you need to leave that job and you need to go back to school and you need to start reading books, start learning, get out of that unempowerment, this drill sergeant minister in the church drilling in total incompetence and unempowerment into you. Leave it. Don't get mad, they don't know better. Leave it, drop it. They drilled fear into you. Drop it, okay? There is no Satan, there is no Illuminati coming after you, there is no shapeshifters, there are no, all of this dualism, but this is dualism to the extreme, from those Abrahamic religions. That's why I think it's terrible Esther Hicks chose that name. Esther Hicks used that name because she herself was growing up in an Abrahamic religion. I don't know which one, but obviously where the Old Testament probably has some predominance, and very dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous. The Old Testament's real dangerous. But the rest of it is not very productive either. It doesn't teach us to value ourselves. It teaches us to idolize. And that's the opposite of empowerment. That's unempowerment training. It's anti-information training. So we need to come out of this and we need to ponder over the real questions. We need to start asking ourselves real questions, and then we can move ahead. So if anybody wants to make a video about this, I would really appreciate it. I am never finished with the subject. I'll get into it more. I will talk about this more in my next video, and maybe I can answer people's questions on this. So if you have any question, I will answer every question. Anyone who has any question or raises a question just like that for themselves, I would really, really appreciate it. That would be awesome if I can just get people to think even just at home for themselves. So, but making videos about this is important. It gets more people to start thinking about these things. So anyway, I'm just blabbing away. Peace out, bliss out, take care of yourself.